Don't judge my blanket.
I didn't even. Sorry, I'm not in the screen right now. Hold on.
It's gone now.
Give me 1 second. All right, I have to mute that. All right. All right. It is showtime, guys. Let's do this.
All right.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We are the MCR of the MCU. I am your host, Jawan, and I am legit joined by the greatest geek groups on the planet. I don't know about Mars. I heard there was like 6 geek groups that were better than us out in Mars, so I'll only speak to Earth. Let me start introducing some of them, starting off with KJ and Patrick of Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes. How you guys doing?
Very good, man. How you doing this evening?
I am great. You know what word I am ready to say 8 million times this episode. So
Martha?
yes, of course.
No, this is
Why do you keep
Marvel.
saying that? Oh,
This is
that's my
Marvel.
bad. That's my
Yes.
bad.
I mean, Martha did die this week, technically. On another, on a,
I will merge the 2 worlds here.
Sorry, that was low hanging fruit for me, man.
I was coming off of the all DC episode of the Kind of Nerdy Dudes.
That's my bad. That's my
no
bad.
Martha talk here.
No Martha talk. No Martha talk. It threw me off with that. It made me think about next up from Nerd with the Tech. What's going on, Trayvon?
I'm happy to be here. Side note, I love the Justice League and Zack Snyder, all of that, so don't take that anyway. I love all those
Martha.
movies. I love that scene, so I'm just saying.
Hey,
Right.
hey, look, again, like I always say, I've had to defend DC more times than that was one of the scenes that I defended. I didn't necessarily love
I thought it made a lot of sense.
I am so sorry, guys.
Hey.
I just took it off the rails. That's my bad. In one
bring-
word, that's bad.
To bring it back to Marvel, I felt very justified when Deadpool made a joke about it. So it all
well,
came back
yeah.
around.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, someone that will not pull the punches on their feelings about what we were just talking about. From They Call This a Movie. Dan, what's going on, Dan?
Friends, how we doing?
I'm actually glad that Dan left it there.
Yeah, I'm not. I've done enough talking about it. It's old hat at this point.
You know how Dan feels.
I just, every time I think DC and I think Dan, I think of like the scene where Rocky's training with the meat in the freezer, but like it's not meat, it's just the DC EU logo, and Dan he's just getting in some punches, just training.
I think all my friends don't want to talk to me anymore because it's just constantly Justice League hating, and it's like, okay, Dan, we know. We got it, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I will say in my life of Twitter, only 2 people made me take 3 days off of Twitter. AJ and Dan.
Hey, wait, what did I do?
Those no, AJ, I'm not saying with DC. But I had some takes that I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from Twitter today. Not necessarily because what you guys say.
All my takes are facts, okay? That's all I have to say.
So Dan, what I get from you is you'll respond to me, and then that's what will pop up on my page. Like it's not even your post, it's you responding to stuff, and I'm just like, I feel like I open it and it just welcomes me. It's like, hey, we're here. And it's like
Tia's gonna be so bummed that she missed the beginning of this.
As soon as she comes in, she's gonna be like, I was watching and I just wanted to throw out there, I dislike it too. Like she's
We can always throw Suicide Squad in her face. It's So
Oh
it's
yeah,
fine.
for sure. We can always throw that under the bus for Tio. But introducing my three brothers from the Geek Vibes Nation crew, Dom, AJ, and Martin. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Milestone number 0 started yesterday, and I read it today, and it was incredible. I can't wait for the future of that. So it's been a really good day for me.
Absolutely. AJ was very adamant about being on this episode, so I'm scared. AJ does have who he believes could be behind things, and it's not who I believe is behind things.
Ooh.
So I believe that's why he came here.
All right.
Make that known. But all right, let's get right into this. Again, another week, no question. We are now in the thick of things, so getting right into it. I'm gonna start off with you, Dom. Your thoughts on this week's episode of WandaVision?
I thought this episode was really great. I like the Agatha takeover. You know, you have the Marvel logo turns purple, and you start off in Salem, and you get the Salem witch trials, but it's like an actual witch trial, like it's witches on witches. And you know, I looked up the year, and that was like the last year of the witch trials took place, and you start to kind of see that the Agatha ain't playing. You know, she like possibly Wanda at this point was a lot more powerful than she thought, because she seemed kind of surprised that she was able to drain that life force from everyone, including her mom. I mean, and my first reaction was like, how are you gonna like try to kill your daughter? I'm like, I get it, like it's the coven, but like, I mean, she got what she deserved, I guess. And then, you know,
The greater good. That's what it was about. It was the greater good.
I guess so. But I like the kind of therapy session that Agatha took us down, trying to get into the psyche and try to figure out what was what was she doing? Because and I wrote a note down last week before this episode, and I was like, and I forgot I wrote it, and it was like, is Agatha just trying to learn how strong she is and try to figure things out? And it turned out, you know, that's kind of what she was doing, was she wanted to see like, yo, like I've been doing this for years, and I can't do some of these things. I'm salty now. Like, how are you able to do this and you don't even know you're doing it? And low key, I'd be mad too. I'd be a little salty. Like, hold up, you just did this, and I've been training this whole. Okay, cool. That's all right. But yeah, there was a lot of great things, and I might be with AJ because now I still want it to be Mephisto. But they've mentioned nightmare so many different times. The word nightmare comes up so much. And like, they might try to, I don't know, man. It could be a red herring just to kind of like sway you a different way to where you're like, oh, okay, it is Mephisto. But they just mentioned it too many times that I feel like that it might be him. Just like the whole time, cataract was in our face, like, or white vision was in our face, right? Cataract, white eyes, vision, and then we get this white vision. So like, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna change my hopes, but just seeing it with following all the clues, it seems like it could be Nightmare instead of Mephisto. I don't know, man.
Jawan, you're gonna hurt your neck. Stop with the shaking.
But there was I had a lot of, I think this episode created a lot more questions for me, especially with so when Agatha mentions the transmutation, right? And she changes the cicada to the bird and then feeds the bird to Singer Scratchy. And I was thinking how she sent Pietro as her eyes and ears to figure out what was going on. So then I got to thinking back to the first episode, and I was like, maybe she sent the boss to the house to figure out what was going on as well, because he was asking a lot of questions. And then Wanda kind of got pissed off without us knowing she was pissed off, and he starts choking on his food, and she just kind of let it slide until finally telling the Vision to go pull it out. So I was like, maybe she's been doing more things that they didn't show like that. It's been her all along. She might have actually been like, hey, this person is actually someone I'm morphed some this thing into, and then to kind of cover your tracks, you feed this transmutation to the rabbit to cover your, get rid of the evidence. So I ended up with a lot of questions more than anything. Still with who is Hayward, more than we think he is. I mean, he implanted this thought of the resurrection, the necromancy for Vision, or did someone plant that in his head to tell her? Because how would he know how powerful she is? Because she didn't know she was that powerful. So there's just a lot of questions that were going on that I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of almost at square one with certain things that I'm like, I guess we'll just have to wait to the finale to find out.
Yeah, I'm gonna first say this. Dom is no longer on the Mephisto train. You've been booted off. We don't take. we don't like when people waver. I'm gonna get to the you guys' comments in the comment section in 1 second. I wanted to talk about something you brought up, Dom. What I think hit me the most about the Salem trials. First of all, you don't usually see witches kill witches, especially of their own coven. Just doesn't happen. Or it's just usually doesn't happen. But what I took from that was Agatha seems to be very much like Doctor Strange in the idea of she learned magic way too fast. She dabbled in the dark arts to get to the magic as fast as she could. She is pulling from darker dimensions to do the magic she has. Now, here's the most important thing that I know a lot of people miss because it's very quick. And we got Tia that just came in. Hey, Tia.
Hello, everyone.
Woohoo!
The most important thing of that scene between Agatha and her mom is you see when Agatha's mom is trying to really put Agatha out. She grows a crown.
Yep.
Right.
Now, here's the important part. Once Agatha kills her mom, she reaches for it, but it's not there.
Right.
I believe Agatha's grand plan, because they're doing it a little differently than the comics. So it seems like in this show, to be a witch, there are levels. And it seems as though the Scarlet Witch is the highest level you get. And it's rare. Her mother had it. Seems like generations went by. Wanda has it. So it seems as though she's trying to manipulate the magic or learn how Wanda learned it. I think going through this history lesson, she found out Wanda didn't learn it. She was just born with it. And I think that irks her soul. But something you pointed out, Dom, and this is the reason why I lean towards Mephisto. Remember when she's holding Sparky and the kids are like, Mom, you can bring them back. Remember how Agatha was kind of like, you can do that?
Yeah.
When you think back, that wasn't acting. I think she was really learning, like, wait, you can bring people back to life. So my working theory, as I go to pass it on, is I believe in that moment, Mephisto gave Agatha his soul shards because he believed she could take the power of Scarlet Witch to resurrect him, only to find out she's not strong enough to possess the power, which is why he had to manifest himself into a bunny, Senior Scratchy, aka Old Scratch, which is a name for the devil. And he is trying to find ways, or they are trying to find ways to resurrect him. In comes Wanda. So they're trying to manifest all that chaos magic to bring him back.
And I think that she showed possibly, I might be reaching a little bit, but I think she really showed some true power that I think that she possibly, in creating Vision, absorbed that and recreated the power or the Mind Stone. Which is why there's that connection of like why they're so close. Because I mean, she connected with it at one point. He's wearing it, and it's kind of like that magnetism of no matter how far he goes, they're gonna kind of find each other. And then her finding him was creating him, and it was yellow. Yeah, and you know what I mean. So it was a good episode, man. And it was really dark and very sad at some points. You feel really bad for it. You kind of understand, like, I do the same thing. I'll be in that bubble. I create my own world. Leave me alone. I'm not leaving. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna fight to stay in it.
And technically, she gave everyone what they wanted. The one guy who, wanted to take piano lessons, the woman who lost her husband. She was giving. She was giving.
She was giving and taking. No free will, but
she was also taking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta get yin and yang. Can't have your cake and eat it.
It's more so. It's not yin and yang based. What is yin? Is yin the bad one or the good one? I always forget which one.
I never know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, whichever one. There's more of the bad than than it's good. When it comes to WandaVision.
That pie is unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
But another nod to why I think Agatha is trying to resurrect an old love of hers. That moment where Vision is really having a Dr. Phil moment with Wanda. If you notice, Agatha's wiping a tear. And I saw someone saying, oh, she's just doing that for show. But Wanda wasn't looking at Agatha.
Yeah, so why would she do that? Yeah.
Right. There's no need for her to pretend. She could have just stood there and did nothing.
Yeah, she's very...
Go ahead, Doc.
Into it. She was in it.
Agatha's very honest in what she's trying to do. It doesn't seem, other than what she was doing before to try to learn things, she seems to be very genuine, even if it does look malicious, because she looks like she's really feeling real feelings and really confused on, like, you joined this anti-freedom group. Like, why the hell would you do that? She genuinely is like, I don't really know her, so I can't just hate her out of nowhere. So all her feelings seem very genuine.
Right. I think she sees Wanda as a means to an end. But she understands because I believe she went through it. I believe that a certain demon helped Agatha learn her powers, and he promised her this ultimate power through manipulation a bit. I believe he was using her to try to manifest himself, but I think she fell for him. And, and I think that's why she has that close connection with that bunny that I last week thought could be her son. But now I'm kind of like, Old Scratch is like another name for the devil, and that went way over my head this entire time. So anyway.
Question before we keep going. Yeah, question. Do you think that she was always the Scarlet Witch, or was it because of the stone that amplified her powers during the where she was
she
with
was
the stone?
Always a witch.
She was born with it. She was born with it. All the stone did was like these are powers that could have maybe popped up when she was 36, and I think all the stone did was fast track these powers.
Hear what she said about dying on the vine, like maybe it wouldn't have stayed with her if she never got to the milestone.
Right.
Like, when she said that, I was like, oh, that's an interesting line to say. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's what would have happened.
Right, but they showed us that she always had this power because the show is trying to tell us that she stopped the missile.
Yeah.
Rather than the missile just sitting there and just beeping.
Yeah, change probability.
That was their way of letting us know she's always had these abilities. The stone just kind of amplified it. I'm gonna read a few of the comments and then we're gonna pass it on. Huge shouts out to Bonnie, Brandon, Michelle. Let's see what we got here. Tia, I will not repeat any of the slander you have in these comments.
Oh, you're gonna have to give Tia her time.
Yeah, Juwan.
I believe Agatha is there to possibly help Wanda. Just a theory I have. I think Agatha's out for Agatha. I think Agatha in the end will find a way to make sure Wanda isn't necessarily killed to obtain her goal, but I don't think anything in Agatha wants anything more than to either take this power or to use this power to resurrect who she's trying to get back.
She wants that power.
I will say to that though, with that brooch with the 3 women on there, it's kind of like the maiden, the mother, and the crone.
Yeah.
And it could at some point have some kind of tri-unity thing for a moment, you know what I mean? Just kind of like they have to stop something, but not like an overarching, hey, we're gonna be a team now, but with Monica, Wanda, and Agatha together for a moment, just because that looks like some kind of foreshadowing.
I could see in a moment where Agatha obtains her goal, brings back whoever she's trying to bring back, only for him to turn on Agatha because he no longer needs her. And then that's where you see a small team up of Agatha and Wanda, only for them to just be overpowered. But the only thing that kind of throws me off is, and this is an if, I know nothing, so I don't want anyone to think I'm throwing out spoilers. if Wanda is to become the bad guy for Doctor Strange 2, does that mean Mephisto kind of embodies Wanda? Like he puts his soul into Wanda, and that's what makes her bad. Because to me, I find it hard to believe that you have Mephisto and you have Wanda as the bad guy. Like,
if you get everything, if everything gets taken from her, I don't think you have to do too much to make her lose it.
No, I understand being a bad guy. I just don't understand the need to have Mephisto and Wanda. Like, Wanda's strong enough to fight Doctor Strange on her own. So what would Mephisto be doing?
So maybe there is no Mephisto.
We don't say things like that. We don't do that. Brandon says they could combine both Nightmare and Mephisto into one character.
It might.
Brandon.
They're good for that.
Actually, that was my first thought when I was watching. I think it was either last week or the week before that. I thought they were gonna combine Nightmare and Mephisto into one character. But I have a different theory now after last week. But I'll get into that on my turn. So yeah, you can keep going.
Yeah, to me, combining them just is weird, mainly because the whole premise of Nightmare is that you have to be asleep, and literally no one is asleep. So it's like that kind of vetoes the whole importance of Nightmare. So I don't know. We have something Hayward is an evil scroll. Wait. I skipped a lot. Hold on. I'm sorry. All right. We'll get to that in a second. I'm wondering if Agatha wants Wanda's power. Definitely. She definitely does.
She's literally power hungry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Hayward is such a liar. Yes. And for anyone that does not know what Michelle's referring to, Hayward definitely sold Monica a bill of goods that were not true.
Liar and a bitch. That's what he is.
All right, AJ, let us know how you feel. Yeah, so Hayward is definitely a liar. It would be interesting if they did that, make them one character and use him in not only this, but Doctor Strange as well. You get Mephisto and Nightmare Dimension stuff.
You can't argue it just because you don't want it, Jawan.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I to me, Nightmare is one of those characters that is just like I always imagine if they use Nightmare, he would be like the throwaway villain at the beginning of a Doctor Strange movie.
Why? Why though?
Because you have so many better villains to use for
Nightmare is on the same scale as Dormammu or Mephisto though. So why would you have him as a throwaway villain?
Because you've yet to use Baron Mordo as your actual main villain. He wouldn't be your throwaway villain.
Neither would Nightmare, but yeah. I would say that Agatha is more of a throwaway villain than Nightmare or Voodoo, but
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I just look at it like you used Caecilius or Cassius, whatever his name was, which to me was weird to use as a villain to start that movie.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So to me, I view this as he was the first, Mordo is the second, or Mordo with Wanda, whatever you're doing for the second. And then Dormammu has to be there. Like that has to be that third arc. Is Dormammu is your big bad. To me, he can't just be that face that you came and bargained with once, and like we never go back to Dormammu.
I actually do. We're actually going to get back to
never
Dormammu.
Come back.
I actually think, and okay, I'm gonna just get this out the way. I think in Multiverse of Madness, Dormammu will be that main bad. The reason why I believe this, I don't believe that Nightmare and Mephisto is big bad for Multiverse of Madness because I believe it has to do with the Darkhold book. The Darkhold book is basically created from the dark dimension or whatever, and I think it was told in Doctor Strange that Dormammu lives and is the creator of the Dark Universe,
right?
And Doctor Strange. And if the book is created from, well, in comic book lore, the Darkhold is created from that universe Dormammu is in. So if that's still the case, I believe that what you were saying earlier with either Mephisto or Nightmare trying to control Agatha into her believing that she can control that power, I actually think it's Dormammu that's making her believe that she can control that power, but ultimately Dormammu will come forth once she tries to control that power. And it's really out there, but I do believe that Dormammu is the one pulling like the strings over everything. But that's just me.
See, that was my theory how many weeks ago? Before
Was
we
that
even
your theory?
started this.
What
Yeah.
was that your theory? Oh,
Yeah, like because like the original agreement, like the agreement between Strange and Dormammu was you don't come back here, but it doesn't mean he can't send people to come back to do his bidding.
also, it was because of the time stone that Dormammu didn't come. So if he's able to control Wanda, time has no relevance because of chaos magic. So he can come. It doesn't really matter to Dormammu if he's there or not. So
Right.
Fair. Doctor Strange is asleep and kills Nightmare in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I like that.
no,
I like
no. Good Lord, no.
No.
First of all, Nightmare is stronger than Doctor Strange in the Nightmare universe, so that would never happen.
For sure.
So that's a no.
Look, hey, y'all keep telling me how strong people are, but you know, when Kevin Feige gets in that writer's room.
Okay, yeah, he can change anything he wants. Fine.
Whatever Feige wants it to be. All right, so let's the Mephisto cut. You guys are
If you're only watching and you're not following the chat, you're missing half the show.
yeah, follow the chat for sure. Follow the chat for sure. We got some straight up comedians out here. If Mephisto's not revealed next week, we got to get it trending for Jawan. You don't have to worry about getting it trending for me. I won't be here.
Do you know how many people will be pissed if that doesn't happen? Either that or
But don't
nobody
you
from
think
the
that could be
Fantastic
the
Four.
beauty of it, AJ? Is that
I
right?
think it would be amazing if they didn't do all that, because this is specifically a WandaVision show, not what is it? I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lot of theories going around that Fantastic Four is going to show up at the last minute, or X-Men characters are going to show up at the last minute, which I do not understand that logic, but these theories are just
Pietro. That's why they thought about X-Men, but that might be out the door now.
Well, and I think just
it was
logically,
always out the door.
But I also think logically, the way with Disney, announcing that there's going to be an X-Men and Fantastic Four, this is a good premise, especially leading into Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, that it's the easiest medium to start to introduce the mutant aspect, and that's why they're bringing it. And why everyone's like saying, "Hey, it's going to be mutants, going to be
or
mutants."
to just drop these things that we could interpret that way when it's not that at all. I mean, there could be nothing X-Men or Fantastic Four about.
I just don't understand, because this show was written way before the finalization of Fox going into Disney anyway. So I
don't know about that.
No, because that happened over a year ago, like
Right.
a year and a half ago.
You got to remember, AJ, part of their deal when they allowed Feige to use Wanda and Pietro was they could never be called Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch.
Or
So the
say
fact
word
that
mutant.
it's just called Scarlet Witch lets you know that even if some of the writing might have been done beforehand.
see, just adding Scarlet Witch doesn't affect the entirety of WandaVision, but adding in like Professor X or Quicksilver, that's from a Fox universe, that's stretching it a bit.
Oh,
I can see why people would say that, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why?
It's the birth. That's all we have to look at it as. Her being called Scarlet Witch and us hearing the words chaos magic is a birth of mutants. That's it. That's all we have to look at it as. How they decide to answer it in the future is in the future. We don't have to put all the pressure on WandaVision. Go ahead, Tia.
Well, even like the little things in this episode, like retconned quite a bit, pretty much talking about her upbringing and the freaking like how it was when she got her powers, or about the missile, just as you guys were saying. I mean, it like retconned, whereas in Age of Ultron it made it seem like they didn't have any powers at all, and it was during this time that they got their powers, as opposed to, no, you were born with this, it was just this moment that amplified it.
Right. No, I'm with you. Like I said, I don't want to put all this pressure on WandaVision. It's unnecessary. We don't need one show to answer 5 million questions about the future.
We have so much in the future to answer all these questions. So much. Patience is all I ask for. But no.
That's what I feel like. You go online and people are like, oh, it's going too slow. That's it. I'm turning off. Or blah,
it hasn't
blah,
even been a year yet.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like it's a show. It's a weekly show. That's what happens,
We
then,
legit.
If things are
weekly gone though, we used to. Boom.
It's like if things are too slow, then wait for it to all come out, and then you watch it in like one big sitting, and it'll feel like a movie for you. Like chill out.
Kevin Feige already stated that they've already started working on Fantastic Four and X-Men, so things aren't going too slowly. If anything, he's doing everything perfectly even.
Right. I just want to remind people that in 2008, I never saw where we're at for the MCU.
Yeah.
We could wait for all that we got here. You can wait 2 years tops to get your Fantastic Four and your X-Men. Like that's
we have like 20 things going on right now within this year. This year and next year.
Tell them stop teasing. How about that? Don't stop. Don't stop playing with us. What do they want?
Iron Man ended with Avengers, and what did we get? Avengers. So they're teasing it because it's part of the plan going forward. It doesn't mean you're gonna get it tomorrow. Like he didn't say how would you like to join the Avengers initiative, and then the Avengers movie was.
Well, don't have Monica texting people.
Oh man, we've been spoiled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gracious goodness. All right. Let's move on here. KJ, Patrick, how did you guys receive this episode 8 of WandaVision?
The opening, the Salem witch trials, I mean, like anything history. I love flashbacks. I love history. So that was kind of cool. And seeing how, like, oh, wow, Agatha's already a badass in 1693. Right. So that awesome, and then just, like now she's just snapping her fingers and stuff's happening and everything else. So just to see, I mean, obviously a very fast forward to present day, but yeah, like up to what Dom was saying, one of the big things I noticed, and it makes sense with the theory of Agatha projecting, like in the first episode, Vision's boss. Well, when she was driving through Westview, I don't know if you noticed, his boss's wife was just sitting by herself. There was no one with her. It's only her. So that completely makes sense. So, and, I think it's more like, and as far as like me personally, the end game, I think it is, I still stand by my original theory of Dormammu. It's looking more and more like Mephisto, but also it's, like Nightmare, for Nightmare to come in, you say that everyone has to be asleep for him to, to affect you with his power. Well, if Wanda's got everyone in an altered, like, dream state, if they're not themselves, they're not in their right mind. So wouldn't they be asleep and dreaming to begin with? So why couldn't it be Nightmare?
What? Uh-oh.
Is that twice I stumped you in one night, dude?
Joanne, are you okay?
I don't know. It's weird for me because it's like, yes. Yeah. I mean, what you're saying could be true for sure. But to me,
is it likely? I don't think so. Like I said, I feel at this point now, the way every single episode after every single episode, you end up with more questions, which is absolutely brilliant writing, in my opinion. So I feel now the more and more it's gotten into it as the weeks go on, I almost feel like Mephisto's the easy way out.
You guys, what if it's Agatha all along? I mean, they went to the trouble of the entire song. They put merch out. What if it's just Agatha? What if it comes from her pain? We saw the scene and she's like telling her mother at the last minute, I can still be good. And her mother says, no, you can't. I mean, what if that created in that moment, created her,
Which was such a Loki parallel from the first Thor. I
right,
loved it.
right.
Mhm.
That's exactly the same thing. And we're not sitting here going, Loki answers to a higher power,
But he did.
what if it's just Agatha all along? What if you don't get anything else? It
But
is
what if they're screaming it? They've been screaming it at us the whole time,
Right.
and no one's believing
Right.
it. Yeah.
To me, I view WandaVision the same way I view the first Avengers movie, to where it seemed like it was just Loki wanting to wreak chaos, wanting to be this all-powerful being. To turn out he worked for Thanos. And there was legit a scene where they're like, hey, you don't want to upset the guy that, is giving you this power. And I feel like that the version of that in WandaVision is the fact that they didn't have to tell us why Jimmy Woo was there, right? Like Jimmy Woo could just say he's investigating something. Him bringing up that it was a missing person that is in that town that we have not heard about since, right? There's just certain like little droppings of it being more. Now, look, realistically, could it be someone else? For sure. Could it just be Agatha? Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, it could be. I mean, they legit were like, hey, it's only been Agatha and Wanda. It was Agatha all along. But I'm just saying, to me, I think I was saying this to Trayvon and Martin before. The reason why I'm riding so hard on Mephisto isn't because I don't want to be wrong. It's more so just because I find it to be, I don't want to say offensive. That sounds stupid. It's a little bothersome that like I spent all this time reading these comics that these shows and movies are based off of, and you're taking swerves from important like pieces of these comics. It just makes me go, well, then I could have just been one of those people that never read it and be in the same spot. Like there's people that read the comics that have no idea what episode 9 is going to be. And there's people that never read it that don't know what episode 9 is going to be.
And also,
this is where I agree with Joanna. It's Kevin Feige is known to follow the comics a lot more than any other studio, where he puts his own spin of it, of course, but he does stay true to the essence of the comics. And Marvel Comics is always the type of thing that always progresses with their villains from low tier, mid tier, high tier, depending on the issue or volume. And I think that's still the direction he wants to follow within the future of the MCU. It's just to always rise up to that level where it's hard to beat, basically. The way I see it, it's basically like anime. Kevin Feige is basically using this as like anime type stuff where there's always that one person is tough to beat. And Agatha right now is more skilled than Wanda, but eventually Wanda's going to rise above her. And then there's going to be another villain that's above her, which might be Mephisto, which might be Nightmare, which might be Dormammu. Doesn't really matter, but ultimately she's going to need more help. And that's where we'll get Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and all of that. That's the reason why I believe that it's always going to be a villain that's going to be on top, especially since. Go on.
Well, I don't necessarily think that there's not down the road, but what if in WandaVision, this is just where we're at?
Oh yeah,
right?
that I agree with. Yes, okay. I do think that Agatha is the main villain within WandaVision, but it's hinting at a bigger villain within Spider-Man 3 and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I'm just like I said. There's just, to me, it's when you pull in characters that are attached to other characters. It's like me saying Mephisto isn't like I'd understand if I came in here and I was like, guys, Dr. Doom is behind everything, you would go, where are you pulling that from? Like,
Doom.
like like legit, the story of Agatha and Wanda is all about Mephisto. Like it legit only resides about Mephisto. So it's like, that's why I'm so like crazed about it, is that's where you got this from. And it's
Are
like,
you gonna be okay next week if they don't, if Mephisto is not a part of this yet?
nope, not
And
even.
see, and see, they also don't have really like before they had an excuse like for Civil War and stuff like that when they have access to everything. But
Mhm.
now since they have access to everything, they don't technically have to pull stuff apart like they were doing before. So I feel like they
Well,
could,
Mephisto was never like a fox. Like, you could use Mephisto. I think their problem, if they don't use Mephisto, I think what they're gonna try to.
well, I meant the kids and stuff like the mutant kids and all that stuff. Like you
No,
couldn't do
right. I get you.
all
I
of that.
think if they
Yeah.
don't use Mephisto, I think their scapegoat is gonna be the China market doesn't like the whole devil aspect, so they're not gonna bring the devil in. But they use Surtur, and they just call him Surtur. I'm like, you can just call him Mephisto. Like, you don't have to say, oh, here's Satan. Like, no, just that's what they did in the comics, because they couldn't get away with calling him the devil or Satan. So Stan Lee and them created the name Mephisto to bypass that, and everything was fine. So I'm like, I don't know. There's no reason to me why it should not be Mephisto. So that's what my mind is stuck on. How they convince me why it isn't and shouldn't is what I'm looking for. But go ahead.
I think to your point though, to add on to it is that, you know, depending on how people view it, some people might not like it, but it is the time of the darkness, right? It's the time of witches. It's the time of devils, right? You had Lucifer, which is in DC. You have Sabrina, right? And Sabrina and WandaVision overlap a lot. Eldritch Terrors, Eldritch Magic. You have Mephisto possibly, and then you have Satan, and then you have like Hecate, who's like the triunity witch that they pray to, and then it also is kind of mentioned in WandaVision. So I think that, to your point, Mephisto just might show up because it's kind of on brand for what's going on in television right now.
I hope, Dom, from your lips, man. All right, go ahead, Tim.
Really quick, it's like, with you guys bring up a really good point when you talk about like if they're going to use like devil imagery and everything like that, because remember, John, we watched Hellstrom, which was on Hulu, and they didn't even bother using a pentagram or even spelling his name with 2 L's or anything like that to probably get away from the sort of devil imagery, since, you know, it is a Marvel show, and this is now WandaVision, a Marvel show on Disney Plus. So it's like, if they weren't willing to say do it with an actual show about like the devil's son on a different network, Hulu, who's to say that they would be so willing to do it on such a family friendly outlet like Disney Plus?
Yeah,
that's my only thing.
You guys make a great point. I same mindset of I will fist fight someone next week. Prime, I want to pass it over to you. My question to you is, as I pass it over to you, a lot of people have been asking this, man. Is it possible Doctor Strange is on his way, and that is what's part of the big showdown next week? Or do you feel as though the hype that, because I heard that from a lot of people, they believe that Paul Bettany, the hype he was building up, was for himself. That was the wool over everyone's eyes. There is no one else. He was hyping up himself. Someone he's always wanted to work with, that he's inspired by. He's talking about himself. And if we're being honest, no one really saw it coming. I mean, there's a lot I didn't think this show would do that it looks like it's doing. So to me, it's possible he could have been lying, but it's also possible that he said that lie to cover the real truth. What do you think, Prime? And what were your thoughts on this episode 8?
I think it's very possible, because if this is the last episode, as we're being told, we have to kind of find out how Wanda ends up in the multiverse of madness, right? Mm-hmm. Even if, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Doctor Strange, or we don't see him until like the very, very end. There's some quick cut in where he has to come in these he has to get involved some kind of way, whether it's, you know, trying to save her from something or just whatever. I won't be surprised if we don't see him like for maybe a hot minute, like right towards the very end of the final episode. So I think that is very possible that he's on his way. Whether or not that's who Paul Bettany was really talking about, I don't know, but I still think that it's very possible. As far as the episode, man, so we've been talking with the last, you know, week or so about it was Agatha all along, and we kind of find out to some extent, which was mentioned before, that it was White Vision all along. And I do believe somebody here, I'm not gonna mention any names, but some guy here on this here podcast kind of mentioned the possibility of White Vision. I think it was last week. But you know, you have to rewind the tape to figure that one out. But to figure out who that was. But yeah, I think that's great because it sets up for me. I'm wondering how much, if any, are we going to see White Vision beyond this series, right? You know, they're not talking about it as much, but it could be, you know, could it be possible that we see him in the Doctor Strange movie, you know? But it was awesome, man. Like I said, I love the episode. Us seeing Wanda and, you know, so much talk about the Mind Stone, and now we had reason to believe, which a lot of us believe anyway, that she actually had those powers before the Mind Stone. And then getting to see her in that Scarlet Witch costume, you know, we can get a clear picture, but just enough of a tease. I just about went crazy when that happened. I thought that was, you know, that was pretty, you know, it was pretty awesome. But I really, really, really liked the episode, and I love the way they played Agatha in this one because she is really stumped, like trying to figure out how in the hell did you do this? How in the hell are you so powerful? How in the hell did you do this? And Wanda's just kind of like, I mean, what are you talking about? I don't know, you know, I don't know. But I think they played this thing, you know, awesomely. And there was a lot of things I looked at. But what I wanted to ask you guys was, you remember when they were replaying, of course, she was taking her back through her childhood and you know, going through her memories and stuff. And that part when she's there with the Vision, were they at the Avengers compound?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That was during Civil War.
That was in Civil War.
Was it kind of strange to anyone that she was watching a television on a rollaway cart? I mean,
Yes.
This is the Avengers compound, man. I mean, you can't get a TV on the wall. I mean, or something. She's watching that.
Not the exact same
cart.
thing.
I just thought that was kind of strange.
I think it fits her character because she's especially since she loves sitcoms so much. She's stuck in that past.
She's a traditionalist.
It made sense to me.
Tony Stark spent too much money on a coffee machine to, you know, pay for a wall of TV.
He's having a
I was
B&B
thinking
for
the
a
same
biker
thing.
gang,
I'm
right?
like, all of the tech in the Avengers compound, and she can't get a decent TV stand.
The Civil War was that after Age of Ultron? Like right after Age of Ultron, because she was talking about
Civil War.
That was Civil War. Yeah.
Civil War.
Because the nod was, remember when Vision came through? That was a nod to how an Age of Ultron.
About this.
Not Age of Ultron.
Civil War.
I know it came to the wall, but that was later though. Like, but she didn't look like that. She didn't look as like that sad then.
No, you know they're gonna. No, she was sad. She was told she couldn't leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
She was treated like a dog. That's like, hey, can I go to the mall? No, you stay home. You stay here. And it's like, oh, damn.
That was a different place.
Well, look, one thing I want to know though, does anybody believe? Do you think these people we've been seeing, I mean, we're near the end now, so I guess we can ask this. These people we've been seeing in these commercials, are they anybody?
No.
They're nobody.
You don't think
I guess not.
Yeah, I don't think they're that important.
Strongly. I don't think they're anyone significant.
Guys,
they're not important at all.
No. The girl who's in the commercials, she's Mephisto.
There you go.
There you go, Joanne.
You bring up a good point, Prime, at the beginning when you were talking about seeing the all-white Vision going forward. There could be, because another thing Feige doesn't really do is kind of elongate things that kind of really don't need to be elongated. It's a really good possibility that we see we see this huge fight, and then we see Wanda exude her chaos magic to where it blends the soul and the mind of the Vision she created with the new android Vision, and he becomes the same Vision. But I think she might have a toll to pay. And I think the toll that she has to pay is you get Vision back, but he has no memories of the love you two shared.
Well, so that's the way it went down, though. I mean,
right. No emotion.
He was
right.
Vision was kind of emotionless.
Right.
Didn't feel like he really had any ties to them. Back in in the 80s in the comic book. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how they kind of play it out. It caught me off guard, man. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay.
Somebody said it might happen, but
I don't know who that was, and I don't even think I deleted last week's episode.
Rewind the tape.
I don't rewind tape here. I delete tape. No, I mean, you make a great point, and your point about the her having the role in TV, I think is just a nod to them kind of not really paying attention to detail. Because when they were young, when her mom brought out the crate of movies, everything was VHS, but they had Malcolm in the Middle on DVD. With the timeline that they're in, that came out later. So I think Marvel sometimes is just like, no one will notice this. And
life is unfair. Yeah.
Like, we notice it. I mean, but to me, I think that's a Disney problem. Because remember in Mandalorian, the dude with the cargo shorts in the episode?
Yeah.
Like, no one will see that. And it's like, no, we saw that. And that was weird. No, I mean, this was a really cool episode to kind of, give us a little bit more context into Wanda's past. Because clearly it was showing us that she doesn't even remember her past the way that she thought she did. And it's kind of like, did you retcon this, or did she just forget certain things? Like, how did she forget that she stopped the missile? Why did she go on saying, I don't know, it just didn't go off? Because you told it not to go off. What are you talking about? You got Pietro there scared for his life. Meanwhile, Wanda's just like, don't go off. Pietro's like, well, how did that happen? She's like, I don't know. It's crazy. Like, why would you like, no,
yeah, but you don't know if she consciously did it or not. I mean, she's a young kid and all that. I mean, that could be something she didn't even realize she was doing. She was just sitting there begging for it to not go off, and it's like confusing that with just, doing something very normal where you're like begging or praying or whatever that it doesn't go off, but in reality, she was commanding it to not go off.
Right.
Yeah, no, very possible, very possible. But as far as what you were saying, Prom, about Vision going forward, I really do hope he kind of breaks away and is I hope he's what Red Tornado was to Young Justice. I hope that's what Vision is to the Young Avengers, to where he's kind of like the guy that kind of whips them into shape, gets them in, to become Avengers, because I would like seeing all these new age kids against this very out of touch Vision, to where they're using slang or they're like, hey Vision, why don't you TikTok with me? And he's like, I don't know what that is. Like, I want to see stuff like that, and I think that'd be great. So I hope that's where they go with Vision. But all right, let's move on. Tia, I'm gonna go to you. I want to ask you this because I thought this was interesting. Kevin Feige was speaking about Evan Peters. He was saying how it was more so a nod to the fact that certain people were messing with Wanda with the Pietro fake. So do you think that was just like, he didn't mean people, or do you think he meant there was more than one person behind the idea to use Wanda's brother to kind of see if they can get her to do what they needed them to do?
I can't tell you that only because I'm not so familiar with, say, like Mephisto and Agatha and all that. But it would be certainly interesting because it's like, how would Agatha know that like maybe you could say, well, they're Avengers, things are public, so maybe she does know. But how does she realistically know about Wanda's brother?
She could Google that, Tia.
I'm just saying.
A small part of me kind of feels like that shouldn't have been something that was widely known. Like Pietro and like Wanda, yes, going forward, we get how she was widely known. But Pietro shouldn't have been widely known.
Yeah, who would have known Pietro? Who would have known that?
Yeah, that shouldn't be common knowledge.
I would think that maybe just as an extension of her celebrity, people know about a little bit of her past as a result. You know,
I don't know, because remember where she grew up on, they leveled all of it. So it's like, I don't think there's many people left that's like, yeah, no, I remember her. She used to come here and like give me milk. Like, no, I think most of them were. Did most of them
That
die?
was very random. I don't know why. Was she like a milkmaid? She just in Sokovia they still had milk people.
Yeah, but they didn't have the interwebs in Sokovia back then, so you wouldn't have any public record of that.
No, nothing.
Hayward also knew about those powers, so if someone's gotten to Hayward and he knew the information previously, that's how she could have found out about Pietro.
I like it.
But I wanted to say about this episode, like there's so much that we can talk about, I'm sure, and everyone has talked about, and I'm sure everyone will talk about all like the neat, nerdy sort of things. I wanted to highlight Elizabeth Olsen's acting in this episode. The emotion that she portrayed every single scene, how it just, her face, right? To me, the best was when she goes into the facility, Hayward brings her in to see Vision, and she goes down, touches his forehead and says, I can't feel you. And just like how beautiful it was framed, the moment that her face took to kind of scrunch up and be upset, it was heartbreaking. You felt that. And it's like, I always imagine like actors just doing that. I mean, it's literally they're acting to something inanimate.
Right.
And you know, she just pulled it off so flawlessly. And then her walking away, which by the
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Which by the way, I was watching and I go, wait, she didn't take the body. This mother effer Hayward totally lied. She just walked away. She accepted it. And she walked away, and her going into Westview, and we get the explanation as to why she went to Westview. We see the rest of the townspeople, and we see the little thing where it's, at first I didn't get it necessarily. I'm like, why is she in this like plot of land? And someone online pointed out, like, he had already bought this. He was planning for them to have this beautiful life together. And I was like, no, sorry. Like, why is WandaVision making me feel like this right now? And we see this with Wanda, that every time she's upset, she has this sort of burst of energy. It happened in Age of Ultron when Pietro died, but it's just now she's so grieving. She knows her powers more, and it just like extended through. And it was such a great explanation as to everything. I love that we got that. That's just phenomenal. But yeah, so there's so much to say about this episode, but I just really want to talk about Elizabeth Olsen. I noticed that. I noticed how good she was at portraying those sad emotions. And the last thing I'll say is I did not expect Paul Bettany to look that good in that new white getup. I was just like, why is he looking as an android? It's weird. All right, he needs to stop.
No, Paul Bettany the android. Yeah.
No, as a human too.
Because I was waiting for someone to go into the more sadder aspects of it. So now that you did, I'll bring up what I have in my notes. The symbolism of her saying "I can't feel you" is a callback to two moments. The first moment was in Infinity War when she's telling him, I can only feel you. Like, I don't feel the stone, I just feel you. And then before Vision died, he says, I only want to feel you. And then like, boom, obliterate.
When he goes, you can't hurt me. I only feel it.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of like a callback to her really kind of coming to the realization that he's gone. Like, I can't feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I want to give a huge shout out to whoever does the music for WandaVision. The moment where she first walks into, let me see. So I read this. All right. The music of Wanda entering her first memory is a callback to the music during the end of Infinity War after Wanda lost Vision. So when everyone's starting to disappear and she's kind of kneeled over holding him, it's that music, and they're just kind of replaying it. And then, excuse me, there was another, the music of Wanda and Agatha entering her memory was when they entered the memory of Wanda and Vision talking. The music that's playing is a darker version of the Avengers music when they were all forming the circle. So there's some deep callbacks, music wise, emotional wise, that they just do so well. Like when you hear it, you're kind of just like, oh, okay, sappy music. And it's like, no, it means a little bit more than that. And I thought it kind of, now that I had that information, I went back and watched it. And it's like, man, that kind of hurts. But to your point, Tia, two things. One, watch Silent House with Elizabeth Olsen. Talk about acting. She is amazing in that movie. And the other thing is, I am very much of the mindset that when you feel love, you feel it, okay? And you got to be honest about it. Vision, 100%, I could be wrong, but I 100% believe he bought that plot like 5 seconds after their first kiss. This is the one. And I do appreciate Vision wanting to retire in New Jersey. Respect, Vision. I love you for that. Don't nobody else, but I love you for that, Vision.
I have a quick question before you move on. Obviously in the comics, Magneto is Wanda's father, and we've been talking about the possibility of him popping in. But to me, at least, I don't know if anyone else felt the same way. When they were showing the flashbacks of her as a child with her parents, I was like, I like these as just her parents, these normal people who she had such a connection with and loved so dearly and lost so tragically. I was like, I kind of, and this may sound blasphemous because again, it'd be cool, obviously, I'm gonna love it anyway, but I kind of am like, I don't really care if Magneto comes as her father because she has parents.
Yeah.
And I don't want anything invalidating that. And I felt like maybe even that was like their way of showing like, maybe we're not going to do that in this world. Magneto isn't going to be her father. She has parents and they died in this moment. So that's how I just personally felt in that. And it's okay if no one agrees, but
no, I felt the same way, Tia. I was like, gosh, I hope this is just real, that this is just the story, because it was beautiful and it explained everything that was going on with Wanda so well that I don't want that to not be her real existence, her real history.
And I don't want
it can still be her real history, but I feel like that they will still retcon it as like step parents or adoptive parents.
But that's the thing, I don't want that. I don't want Magneto to be like, as a young child, I couldn't have you two, so I dropped you off at the nearest, fire station and everything like that. Like, no, I don't know. That's just how I feel.
That's really cheap. It just feels like it's cheap, and it's a lazy out.
I mean, that's what they're doing with their powers. They're just retconning that as well, since everything's coming back to Disney.
I look at it like this. I've always wanted to see the lineup of Magneto with his 3 kids, right? Mm-hmm. If that's at all possible, I want that. I want Polaris. I want Wanda. I want Pietro. I want Magneto. I want that family.
You're going to have to build it up, though.
I didn't want him to show up for Pietro. I didn't want him to show up for Wanda.
You have to earn it. But if it's possible, I want it. But if they tell me that they're never giving us Polaris going forward, Pietro's going to stay dead, then I don't need you really to retcon anything. I mean, you can have Magneto and Wanda develop a relationship to where he feels like her father. Because she lost her dad at a very young age. So,
so he comes in as a father figure, or he was the uncle. I don't freaking know.
Right.
No, father figure is where I'm more comfortable. Don't tell me they're related and he's not the father.
We just have to prepare. We just have to prepare that there's going to be a lot of retcons because everything just went back to Marvel anyway. So
it's possible. It's possible, but I am with you, KJ. I am with you, Tia. If they tell me that they're not going to retcon it, they're not father and daughter, I will not argue that. But if they tell me down the road, Magneto has a daughter and her name is Polaris, I'm going to go ballistic. Because it's like, all right, you didn't have to do that. Like, Polaris isn't a character big enough you have to introduce. Mm-hmm. So that means if you were
can be.
Do it.
But he has a son named Pietro in the Fox universe, so that's the Magneto we have.
There's no such thing as the Fox universe anymore.
No,
yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Thing.
Yes, it is.
It's non-existent.
A portal's opening up, and it is. A portal's opening.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna say it's such an easy thing to do. You could say that he came into Sokovia at one point. It's not the most pleasant thing, but he knocked up the mother, and then she found someone who's better, and they raised the two of them like a
no, that's garbage writing.
He's a side dude.
You say it's garbage writing, but when it happens, the way
I'm gonna
Kevin
be
Feige
mad.
does it, you're gonna love it.
You're mad at
No, I'm
Magneto like you
not.
should be. I mean, why not?
Magneto can be a father figure, like Juwan said. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
I like that. I like
Tony
that thing.
Stark and Peter Parker had a beautiful relationship together.
That's his dad.
right. Like that was very much like I felt like
and we saw how quick it happened, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to be like, oh well, it's going to take some time. We saw by the end of Civil War, we're like, oh, Tony's his dad, that's his kid now. It can happen just like that. With the right actors and the right writing, it can happen.
I will also
Magneto
say
was out here throwing mutant thing around, and knocked her up, and then did. You see Magneto's personality. He's kind of an asshole a lot of the time, and especially he might have later known that she was pregnant. And if the kids didn't show any powers, I don't want them kids. But
so he's a
Polaris does.
So he's a
I'll keep
parent.
Polaris.
Right.
I mean,
I can see it.
Wow.
the only reason why I think it's cheap. The only reason why I think it's cheap is we just got that. That's exactly what Michael Fassbender's Magneto was to Evan Peters' Pietro. He knocked her up and then never came back. Even Evan Peters was just like, "That's my dad," but I ain't even gonna tell him. Like even he was just like, "You don't even deserve to know." So I'm like, I don't really need that again. I really don't. I'm just saying, if they are like, if I do hear that they are gonna find a way to bring Quicksilver back and they'll introduce Polaris down the road, then yes. If you want to retcon it so Magneto has his 3 kids, sure. But if Pietro's staying dead and there's no Polaris, there's no need to shoe in that. Like it's forcing it. Don't force it. Just be a father figure. I mean, no one's sitting here like poor Uncle Ben. Peter ain't mentioned his name once. Like
we've seen him die too many times. It's fine.
No one's like at this point, Peter's just like, I don't even mention him. Like, no, that's
because Tony is his dad, Doctor Strange is going to become his dad, and Happy is going to be his stepdad. All right, Happy is stepdad.
Exactly.
A grown man. They're father figures. Okay, don't throwing dad around there.
His dad.
Tony
adopted him legally.
There's going to be a Peter Parker movie that's called My 3 Dads.
Or maybe that's what's the Into the Spider-Verse. Like we'll see the dad from Tobey Maguire, the Uncle Ben from Tobey Maguire, the Uncle Ben from Andrew Garfield.
Oh my God.
I would love Martin Sheen to come back. Him and Sally Field as Aunt May were 2 of the best parts of those movies.
Oh yeah,
great performances.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, you can show him, but just don't have him die in front of us. Like if he came back, I goof about this one, but I say like Force Ghost. He appears like over his shoulder to remind him of something, or like the car scene from the Tobey Maguire one, just to kind of remind him of something. But that's it.
I'd say this: the moment where that could have happened has passed. The moment where he's underneath all the rubble in that first Spider-Man movie, and that was essentially his "with great power comes great responsibility" moment. The fact that there was no Uncle Ben or no memory or flashback in that moment lets you know they have no interest in. Like it's clear he was replaced. Yeah. Like he was replaced. It's clear. But AJ, I'm gonna go to you next. The question I want to point to you, AJ, is one that I had a lot of fun writing down. Did you connect the dots of Agatha taking Wanda's hair being a callback to Doctor Strange taking Thor's hair when he was locating Odin, and how they were?
I didn't. But now that you mention it, that's weird. How they use hair to either figure out someone's past or where someone's located.
The first thing I thought, AJ, was, where did I see this before? And like I'm thinking through, and I'm like, oh my God, Doctor Strange just pulled Thor's hair out, and it's just like, all right, let me find your dad. And it's just like, wait, what? There's not an easier way to do that. Like that hurt, So I just wanted to bring that up here because I thought that was really cool. Because you don't often see callbacks like that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Your thought, AJ?
Magic is just weird in the MCU, but my thoughts on the episode as a whole, I agree with Tia with everything. Elizabeth Olsen's acting was incredible. But the one scene that I want to highlight the most was where she was in the middle of that land, and she just falls to her knees and just breaks down. I just love that so much, especially since I think it was 2 episodes ago. She described her feelings on how it started. I think the quote was, "I only remember feeling completely alone, empty, and then I just endlessness." I just felt like that right there was it. It broke my heart basically when I saw that, because when that scene happened, that was the quote that stuck out to me the most, and it was just a really powerful scene. But enough of that mushy stuff. I'm just ready for next episode where we'll see a battle against Agatha, Wanda, Billy, Tommy, and Vision, and White Vision. I hope that we get Monica next episode as well. We still have to see what she's up to. Same with Jimmy. There's a lot of things to answer. Hopefully they don't answer everything in this last episode. I still do want everything to be a mystery for either Spider-Man or Multiverse of Madness. Not everything has to be cleared up within the season finale. So right now, I'm loving the series as a whole, and I just can't wait for the future.
Yeah, future's bright, man. Future is very bright. Dan, I want to go to you. I noticed something that a lot of people didn't notice. No one's really talking about. The specific episode Wanda picked of the Dick Van Dyke Show was the episode where it was his fear of these, I think it was mushrooms or something.
Walnuts.
That would that would like take over like all the technology and everything. And then he wakes up and it's his worst nightmare come true. And I thought it was really interesting how Wanda's favorite episode of that show correlated with everything that was happening to her, which was essentially her worst nightmare coming true. Losing everybody all over again, realizing none of that's real, and just having to face, her biggest fear, which is, being alone, it seems like. So your thoughts on that, Dan, and then your thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, I think you see a lot of that in the MCU. A lot of people are afraid of, being alone, and everyone really loses so much. So it's a running theme in the MCU. So it makes sense to me that they would pull from that episode. Overall, I really think this was the best acted episode. Probably my favorite episode. Just seeing, like Tia mentioned, just seeing how Wanda reacts to seeing the love of her life dismembered and being taken apart, and people working on him, and how she manages to hold back from just like tearing everyone apart when she has the power to do so. And just having, when you lose a loved one and you see them there on that table, and it's heartbreaking in the way that she's portraying it. And it kind of creeps me out because everyone talks about how she goes back and forth with her accent, but like no one ever talks about how she's in love with an android. Like everyone just kind of gives her a pass on it. Like, oh no, it's the accent, that's what matters.
It was a little jarring seeing Vision like all taken apart and realizing like, oh yeah, he is just like wires.
Yeah.
Way, a lot of props to that editing team. If you guys listen closely when they're taking him apart, it sounds like real flesh being ripped apart. It doesn't sound like metallic. Like they went through the process of showing you how real Vision is to her. So, to her, it's, man, they're ripping like, it's like seeing like an autopsy of like someone that you love. So I think they're just trying to remind you how real Vision is to her. But to us, it's still just like, she lives up to the what is the phrase? Love is blind, and it's just like, it really is, man. She said, humans, nah, not for me. I like those robots. Like that's where I'm at with it.
Well, he probably has a lot of stamina. Just saying.
Right, okay.
On that, that's one thing I wanted to ask. Did anyone feel like her connection is almost now to the Mind Stone because of the way she interacted with the scepter, and then him having the Mind Stone. Does she have some pull to the Mind Stone that initially got her into Vision?
Well, you could see that in Age of Ultron when it was in the was in that cradle thing. You could see she was like sensing something in there. She was like, "Oh, you're different."
I need to go back.
Are you wait, Ryan? Are you asking is the stone the reason she fell in love with him?
Well, not necessarily the love, but a connection, like something that, like that spark that made her go, "Oh, I'm interested." And now that she's talking to him and she sees the humanity come out of him, she falls in love with him.
Age of Ultron.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I kind of look at it like a magnet. Where it kind of just it pulls her in, but what keeps her is who Vision essentially is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that that's kind of like what always draws her to him, because she does have that relationship with the stone.
Because I never really put it that way until I saw this thing. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Dan, anything else about the episode stood out to you?
Catherine Hahn was great as always. I loved the glow up that she gets at the end. She's pretty much in like full witch garb, and she has the tethers on Billy and Tommy, and so Doctor Strange like. It's gonna be a treat to see them kind of go toe to toe. At least I hope that they go toe to toe. And yeah, I think I didn't see it coming where, and I probably should have, where the director of Sword is a lying bastard.
Piece of shit. Yep.
Yeah, I should have seen that coming, but
I still like
it seems so plausible that Wanda would be able to just go in and take what she wanted. And everyone knows how fragile she is, so it's like, well, why isn't that believable? She just breaks into a government facility. She's more than capable of it. And yeah, I think. Now, is it just like White Vision, or is it Anti-Vision? I've seen both, but
it's for sure White Vision. It's for sure White Vision. I even like the little nod that instead of the stone, it looks more like Stark's arc reactor in his forehead. And I'm like, it's so crazy. This is gonna sound so weird. I don't even care. I just love anything that reminds me of Stark. Like anything that just reminds me, like, yeah, we do need him back.
I remember there's an old Super Nintendo game. I think it's the Captain America and the Avengers. I think it's called.
Yep.
And you have this version of Vision in it. So that's the only Vision I knew growing up. So I was like, oh, I remember that from the video game, and I don't know too much about what happens and why he's like that. So
well, just for anyone that is wondering, I have it here in my notes. I'm gonna just read what I wrote down in my notes. Vision is from the Vision Quest comics in the West Coast Avengers series from the 80s. Where the Avengers try to assemble Vision's body. In that comic, he comes back soulless. A lot of the characters that were involved were Grim Reaper, Hank Pym, Wonder Man, the Human Torch, and Kang the Conqueror.
Yep.
I have heard some people alluding to maybe that's who Hayward is, and maybe Hayward will be seen again in Loki. Because we have heard we're getting 2 Kang the Conquerors. One in Loki, one in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I don't know. I don't want to see Hayward again. You know that like meme where it's like, I am tired of this dude. And it's like, that's how I feel about him every time. I am tired of him.
Tia, it's funny you say that because I remember everyone was just like, man, it's crazy. Robert Redford died. Like, I would have loved to have seen him again. And I remember being one of those people just like,
100%
no.
And then I saw him again in Endgame and I was just like, damn, I kind of miss Robert Redford.
I feel you on that.
I kind of miss him a little bit.
Yeah, but that's Robert Redford. This guy isn't no Robert Redford.
Right. Yeah, that Redford. Yeah, that. Well, even at that character pulled off with set style.
Yeah,
this guy is just a straight weasel.
That's right? Like, if we had Christopher Plummer and we'd be like, we want to see Christopher Plummer again, but we got this guy and we're like, who the hell cares about this guy?
Yeah.
No offense to the actor.
real quick. Is the Darkhold book going to kind of become the MacGuffin of the next few movies? Where Yeah, right. Because I was reading up on it, and one of the characters who goes for the Darkhold book is Dracula, and we know that there's a Blade movie coming out. And I mean, this is such a long shot that I wouldn't bet on it, but the character who shows up, Mahershala Ali, as Blade. I mean,
It'd be
again,
awesome.
that's like,
It'd be awesome.
So
I mean,
basically the history of the Darkhold book is it is created within a dark universe, and the Darkhold created vampires, which I see why you would think, and I do agree that it will be the catalyst for future movies like Blade. I do believe that it will connect to Ghost Rider as well, because Darkhold has a deep connection to Ghost Rider too. There's another character, but I can't remember who.
Cthulhu.
What was that?
Cthulhu.
Yes. So I do believe that there's already hints of future things that Kevin Feige has already hinted at. Darkhold will most likely bring forth the what is it called? The monster universe within Marvel, and then you have TVA, which will bring forth. I actually do believe TVA is going to help us connect Fantastic Four and X-Men, because I do believe those team ups will be from another universe, not specifically from Avengers, but I do believe that they're gonna.
I wanted to say this, AJ. For anyone out there, bear with me here. If you go back to the Loki trailer, remember the scene where you see the judges kind of sitting in like a courtroom? It's a very quick shot, but right above those judges is the Living Tribunal. The reason why I think he's going to be important is I think the Living Tribunal could be in Doctor Strange too. I think he could be the guy that's kind of like, Wanda, what are you doing? No, you can't do any of this. Like, what is this? And I think he's going to be part of the reason why it's kind of like, pump your brakes. We let you use some of this crazy, multiverse altering magic. You ain't about to go crazy, like, relax. I would like to kind of see the Living Tribunal, because anyone that doesn't know the Living Tribunal, he has the power of all. He can kind of step in at any moment and kind of just go, nope.
The thing with Living Tribunal is that he doesn't really concern himself with matters from like Earth or any mortal matters.
Fair, but that's why I said multiverse. That's why I think multiverse, because think about it. If the Living Tribunal is in the Loki show and all that show is about is time travel, obviously the idea of being able to move through multiverses as a nexus being, which I do believe Loki will become, that very much does kind of, not big time, but it pops across their screen and they kind of go, I'll let it go, or maybe I'll step back.
I can see Living Tribunal like in the future, where I do believe Galactus is going to be the Thanos of this saga, especially since Thanos was the universal threat. I believe Galactus is going to be the multiversal threat.
Really quickly, you know what I hate? I hate that because, again, Fox hadn't already sold the rights to Marvel by the time Infinity War came out. They stole our moment. Our moment Surfer falling through the roof to warn Doctor Strange of what's coming. You can't do that again now. Like, it's already been done. And I'm like, damn, that was so good in the comics, where he just falls through and he's like, you have no idea what's coming. And then, like, boom, that's how we get Galactus. Like,
see, I think there's other ways you can do that, though. Especially, I think it was King Thor, the King Thor issue. No, I think that was it. But Thor becomes the herald of Galactus, and the way he warns everybody is he still does Galactus' bidding per se, because he's not really controlled, but he does try to warn people that way instead of like falling. Yeah, but my point is there's different ways you can do it. So either way is fine for me.
Yeah. Trayvon, I'm gonna go to you next. Did you notice the callback Agatha had judging Wanda kind of like how her coven was judging her at the beginning of the episode. Kind of how like Agatha was like, you got all these powers and like you're messing up recipes and you're doing all this stupid stuff when like you're a higher being. And that's kind of what her coven was saying, like you're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. And it's like we got to stop you before you become too powerful that we can't control you. Right. And I believe in that moment Agatha's kind of like, you don't even realize how powerful you are, do you? Like you're so powerful, you like I created this whole hex and I didn't even know it, didn't even realize it. So did you kind of get that call back at the end of the episode?
Yeah, I did, because I felt like Agatha is mad that she even has this power. She was like, you have all this power, I want it. I feel like she just wants it, for one thing. And then she's like, you have it and you're making breakfast. She was like, what, like, really, this is what you're using it for? And
breakfast for dinner.
Yeah. And see, for me, that was the most exciting thing for me about this episode, because yes, we had magic and Doctor Strange and stuff like that, but he mainly used it for creating weapons and stuff like that, from what I see from so far. And I mean, how they explained it comes from a different dimension, and that's how they create their like protections and goes into the mirror dimension, stuff like that. Nothing where when Agatha was talking to her in that room, she was saying actual spells and like stuff like that. And I was like, finally, like this is what I like. This is the type of stuff that I was really excited about. I was like, we'll get real magic now, not just not just energy beams and stuff like that. Now we're actually getting some kind of incantations. And she said about fake Pietro, which I'm still going to stand there and say I feel like she pulled him from somewhere. I don't care. She said she didn't. She said that she couldn't do necromancy. She couldn't bring him back to life, and she didn't say that she made him or anything. She said she did a crystalline possession. I think that's what she said. I said, okay, so there was possession. Possess who? Why does he look like this? I don't care what Feige said in that little interview he did. He just said that to throw us off and say it was just a nod. It was a nod that was stupid. I don't care. So
I love what they call him, Pietro.
Yeah.
Fake Pietro.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, technically he is fake Pietro, but you could have picked any actor, honestly, and just did this. I'm sorry. But I just really like that. I like the magic aspect of the whole thing. Like you said, Elizabeth Olsen's acting was amazing in this. The tears and stuff, like just like when she did it, I can't feel you, that tear running out. I said, whoo, I said, give her they need to give them, I know they usually don't, they ignore superhero shows, but give them Emmys, give them whatever goes with this, because they deserve it, because she's doing a damn good job.
Mhm.
Let me see what else. I mean that's really like the main thing I was really excited about. Just the fact that we're getting real magic. Her story is tragic, but I feel like the retconning, I didn't feel like it was too bad. I felt like the more they were adding more context. Because basically we got like like a sentence or two every now and then, like, oh yeah, it was a bomb and we saw Stark and stuff like that. Technically, all that is still true. Everything they've said. So they didn't like get rid of everything they said. They just added more to it and let us see it. So I was like, okay, well, maybe she, like her putting her arm out. When you're younger or something, like you imagine you can do things or whatever. You think you were doing something. Maybe she just did it. I don't know, just a kid. She probably like, well, really, where can we go? Like, we're here, we're laying down here. I'm gonna do this, but it probably won't do anything. We'll probably still die. I mean, I don't think she actually thought she could do anything. So, but Agatha pointed out like, oh, you did this hex or whatever.
Probability
No,
one, right?
yeah. And I was like, there's no way she would know that. Like she said, she has no training. She just did this. So I was just really excited for that. And I feel like Agatha was kind of teaching her like about the rooms that are around the room and stuff. And that's knowledge for her to like, oh, there's more to me than just me shooting lasers and stuff. I can actually learn some actually creative things to do with this. And I want that to come down the line if she survives or if she keeps her sanity after this is over. Will she want to learn more and maybe she'll seek Agatha out? Maybe like, hey, I know that we were
Or
enemies
Doctor
before,
Strange.
but we'll see. Does Doctor Strange know this stuff? Like that's my Well, I'm saying in this,
He
in the
learned
MCU,
from the ancient one. Come on now.
they never did
I-
spells.
I was about to say,
They didn't
Agatha,
do
what
spells.
Agatha got, she got from the Darkhold, and she got from that little coven of witches. Like, I don't mean to throw shade to that coven, but you ain't the ancient one. Like, the ancient one is like, you learn from the ancient one. You're learning from the best, for sure.
Well, I hope that when we get this Doctor Strange new one, that we see that he is more using actual magic and not just making weapons. That's just
Well, we
how I
saw a
look at it.
little bit. We saw a little bit of him doing magic in Infinity War when he versed Thanos.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just making weapons. He was actually showing what.
Wait. Hold on, AJ. Trayvon, do you mean spells? Like actually saying like spells? Like
Yeah.
Doctor Strange sometimes does that.
I like that.
Yes.
Though. Like
See,
that's
the
magic.
thing with
That's
the
magic.
thing
He does.
The
They're
thing with
actually-
Doctor Strange is he doesn't have to make incantations because he's the ancient one.
Right.
Because he's that powerful. He
Also
doesn't
supreme,
need
yeah.
to, but he can.
Right. You just don't hear it often. I mean,
Yeah.
but you just don't hear it often.
I mean,
Honestly,
okay.
in the MCU, you don't hear it at all, but play old Marvel and Capcom games or read old comics, and he's saying it like there's no tomorrow. He's saying,
Yes.
but in the MCU, it's just Kevin Feige.
He's saying it in his head.
Yeah,
He's
that's
saying it in his head.
Or he's whispering it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Okay.
I want to go to you, Ryan. I have a bit of a reach here, but this is what I
Okay.
would
That's
pass.
what I'm here for.
This is why I'm passing it to you. When we see the different symbols in Agatha's basement, right?
Mhm.
One of them is the M used for House of M. Do you think they were alluding to the House of Magic because it's Agatha's house that is enchanted by nothing but magic? So they legit meant the House of M, meaning the House of Magic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's at least foreshadowed. I don't know how it's going to play out in this. I know that when we talked earlier about a lot of the things with how this all was going to play out, we were talking about, I think in the first episodes, like Grim Reaper and all these other ones that are going to show up. I'm going back to what I used to say about a lot of shows that I get hyped up really quickly for. Sometimes the simplest answer is probably the most logical thing that's going to come out of this. So I'm not even expecting that we're going to get Mephisto unless it's like some little thing at the end, or even Doctor Strange until the very end, because it just seems like, yeah, they're going to get a 50-minute episode next week, but I don't know how much we're going to delve into like House of M territory, like in a real way, if they even say mutant in this, I'll be surprised at this point. So I'm loving what we're getting though.
You
To
mean
be
a
fair,
43-minute episode?
I don't think we're getting House of M either, but
Yeah.
there's elements of House of M in there.
For
Yeah.
sure. Something that can come down maybe season 2.
Right. And I think the nod to House of M, the biggest nod was, and I'm hanging on to this, I don't care what nobody says. When she said no as emphatically as she did to that beekeeper, that was a nod. Come on. She
Yeah.
could have just said no. She said no emphatically, like there was supposed to be more words that came after that.
Right. Exactly.
So to me, that was the biggest House of M nod.
Yeah.
But we know there's 2 to 3 comics that they're basing this show off of, and are
Mhm.
kind of flirting between all 3. I've yet to see the one thing that connects them to all 3 of those comics, but we see that they're flirting between 3 comics for sure. So
For sure.
who knows?
Oh
What
yeah.
are your thoughts on the episode as a whole, Ryan?
Oh man, so much. Okay, so first of all, I really dig Tyler Hayward. I don't think he's as detestable in like that you love him kind of way, like some of the other ones that were mentioned before. But I listen to what he's saying, and some of his points about like just burying all that vibranium in the ground. I mean, I can understand why they did what they did. Is he a liar? Totally. Yeah, and he's supposed to be a villain, but like I could easily see arguments for Wanda being a villain in her own right. I mean, what we're gonna see out of White Vision, or as I call him, Clear Vision.
I like that.
Yeah. He could end up being villainous too, and there could be a showdown between him and the red and green, the classic Vision or whatever. Man, there's just so much that could come out of this, and I can't wait for like 50 minutes more of what we've already gotten. I don't even know if we're gonna get that 10th secret episode that we were kind of rumored at, but man, I would love to see more.
No, I think they said next week is the finale, and it's going to be 50 minutes long, I believe.
Yeah, but I will
So
say
43 for the.
I
Unless
will
they
say-
get go behind the scenes.
7 minutes of credits.
So many credits. Oh my god! When they say it's like 40 minutes, it's really 20.
You're right.
Yeah.
WandaVision's Twitter did confuse a lot of people. I was arguing with Joelle about this. It said on their Twitter, it said with only 2 episodes left,
Yeah.
enjoy episode 8. So to a lot of people, they thought they meant we're on episode 8. You know, get ready for 2 more episodes.
No, they meant 8 and 9, because then I think they went to emphasize that there's only 9 episodes, because then the next tweet was ahead of next week's finale. They literally said next week's finale.
Whoever's controlling WandaVision's Twitter, just know I am a fiend. So you can't do things like that, because I was just like 2 more, like, oh yeah, you know, don't do that. I went full crackhead on that, so don't.
I do. I mean, with little bit of time I have, I just wanted to say I don't know if it was already said, but man, that line, I forget it. It's what is love, or what is grief without love not persevering. I put it up, but man, if that doesn't encapsulate not just their relationship, but the show is just, I mean, I haven't cared that much about a single line of dialogue since like the Captain America bed speech where they talk about being a good man. Like that, like this is on that level for me. And I just, it was so perfect. I just had to bring that up because
it's what is grief if not love persevering. And what I loved about the moment that they had there was what I think the true symbolism of that was it was beautiful to hear, but it was more so it was exactly what Wanda needed to hear. Like usually you get a speech, a hero speech, and you're just like, man, that was really good. I'm gonna run through that wall for you. But very rarely is it exactly what that person needs to hear in that exact moment.
But it's always Vision. He always has the great line. Someone said, like every line he says is just so freaking poignant.
Yeah. And to me, he's always the voice of reason. You know, he was even in Civil War kind of just like, it's kind of your fault. Like everyone was like, excuse me. It's like, yeah, I mean, they kind of
even though he
or something like that.
Even though he tried to kill Falcon and almost killed Rhodey. Just saying. He almost killed one of his fellow Avengers.
Yeah, listen. You're making me have to bring out secrets here. He was doing me a favor. He heard what I said about Anthony Mack.
Yeah, but then he got Rhodey. But then he got Don Cheadle, man.
Yeah, he made a mistake. I'm like, wait, no, I need that one. Kill Anthony, you know, let Falcon go. So that was his mistake. So we talked about it. So he understands now. But no, I mean, Ryan, you're absolutely right. I mean, this show has done a great job. To me, I felt as though the background of this show has always been mental health. Has always been the struggles of mental health. And that's why I said that last commercial, they needed to be a little careful about it and not make it too playful. Because there is a true deeper meaning behind mental health. And I think they handled it very well. So
I just want to, I just wanted to say one more thing. So I don't know if it got discussed before I popped in, but I was thinking about the Scarlet Witch aspect of it, you know, the divide between, you know, Wanda and Scarlet Witch. And do we feel that was with her from the very beginning, or that was a moment from the Stone's interaction with her that like unleashed something special that she didn't really know she had?
I think it was from the beginning.
From the beginning. She was born with it. She was, but I mean, that's what goes to, if someone is saying that once you introduce Magneto, it's hard to not then connect those dots because she was born with it. I mean, both of them were. How rare is it to have 2 parents that aren't mutants, but 2 of their kids were born with it, right? It lets you know that someone was dipping somewhere at some point. So, I mean, it is a lot to explain. That's why it's like how they introduce the X-Men is vital to the rest of the story of some of these characters. Because it's like, if you're telling me Magneto's always been here, of course I'm going to connect the dots that, yeah, you know, he was maybe dipping and then said, someone said here, like, they weren't exuding powers quick enough, so he was like, they're not my kids. Goodbye.
That's what Dom said.
Okay, that's what Dom said.
I'm just hoping now that next week someone says maybe she's born with it, and then they do a commercial for Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline. I put that in the comments. I was like, maybe she.
Yeah.
That has to be the commercial now.
Would be, and it would be great if the commercial was right as the fight starts to kind of like give us a quick breath, and it's like maybe it's Maybelline, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, I needed that quick break real quick. It's like a commercial. But yeah,
What if she?
Go ahead, Dom.
What if she on a kind of a time travel alternate reality type of thing with the Mind Stone scene? What if that was her coming back, unlocking her own powers?
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Damn.
I don't mind that.
Because she's a Nexus being, right?
She exists.
Juwan hates time travel.
I do.
You know what I mean? Like
it muddies the waters, because then you'll have people. As soon as time travel or multiverse gets brought up, you will have now you can bring Cap and Iron Man back, and it's like, no, that's not the point of why they're doing it. It's to serve another. If it happens during it, great. But you get people that get greedy when you start.
We already have time travel. We know the multiverse is coming. It literally, a movie is called In the Multiverse of Madness. So it's like, we know the multiverse is coming.
Makes me
Chaos is there. We saw Endgame. They're all over the place now.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised.
Different timelines, not everything is constant. So, it could have kept America in 3 timelines, but not like a 4th. But Wanda is supposedly, a constant in every single reality, which is why she would be able to come back and change this reality, because she might need to fix something or whatever reason she has.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised they even gave us a Doctor Strange 2 title, honestly. I don't know why they just keep it at Doctor Strange 2 for a while instead of giving it to us.
Well, we were given that like 2 years ago now at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised they did that at all.
Well, they did it because you couldn't really hide that.
Well,
I mean, whenever you say multiverse, everyone's gonna connect that dot to Doctor Strange anyway. So once WandaVision came out and we knew that a multiverse was gonna grow, we would have immediately done that. And you had to give the name to foreshadow to cover Spider-Man, WandaVision, and Doctor Strange. So it was a 3-part covering, and why they needed to reveal it when they did.
But more than that, Juwan, probably it was more than a 3-part covering. It was more of them letting you know that we've got so much more coming and so many more characters coming. It's just a matter of what aspect that we're going, how we're going to bring them in.
Right. I'm with you on that.
The Loki show too is going to introduce, I feel like, a lot of that sort of stuff as well. We got time travel going on and shit like that.
I was gonna say Loki's time travel, not multiverse.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just all of that, like, merch. Like, they're expanding. They're not shying away. They're not like, well, we time traveled once in Endgame, but we're not going to do it anymore. It's like, no. We're going to do it from now on. It's going to be crazy.
I do wish they ended it there. Man, this time travel gives me a headache.
You say that, but then I'm sure that in the DC realm, if they can continue with the Batman, but then also bring Ben Affleck's, Batman back, you'd be sitting there going, yeah,
I would.
I'm the only one out here.
I saw you guys on the Restore the Snyderverse hashtag.
I only want one Batman. I don't need 90. Give me one good Batman, not 3 okay ones that make up one good one. Give me one good Batman. I feel like I got that with Robert Pattinson. Let's move there. But anyway, Pete, I'm gonna go to you, man. I swear I thought of you. I was gonna call you in this exact moment, but I remembered it was 4 a.m.
I'm up. Trust me, I'm awake.
When you see the vision that she's having, no pun intended, of what she's going to become, I was just like, oh my God. Because I thought of you, because remember how JD's like, it doesn't really translate well, how they looked in the comics to how they look in live action. I was just like, that silhouette looks just like how the comics does. Like, I know a lot of us remember Wanda from, kind of how she looked on Halloween. Mm-hmm. But the more modern look of Wanda is the exact.
That was with the trench coat and everything. She's just got the little, hairband.
Yeah. So to me, it's like that's showing you how easy. And that's why I said Wanda's costume is not hard to pull off. It's the easiest one to do. Like you made Iron Man work, and you're telling me your struggle was with the trench coat. So I thought of you because I was just like, it's coming, the Scarlet Witch, and then you get to the end of the episode and she says it, and I was just like, there's some people out there that line meant absolutely nothing to, and I was just like, I wish I could just give some of my hype to them for them to feel how big that is, because to me it's multi-layered. It's your first introduction to mutants. It's her ascension into Scarlet Witch. You know, it's the mentioning of chaos magic. So what were your thoughts seeing the ascension really in rank of Wanda, and then your thoughts on the episode?
My very first thought after seeing all of that was, oh, magic has a color code. I didn't know that. So I'm like trying to read about that. That was like the first thing. She's like, chaos magic makes you the Scarlet Witch. I was like, okay, so are we going to go through the spectrum here, like the Green Lantern Corps kind of thing? Honestly, like it's weird. I was expecting something different out of this episode. I was expecting something. I was expecting like conflict resolution, like we got, but maybe a bit more action, and not one but two cliffhanger major reveals. Actually, three if you count chaos magic. I was just counting the name drop, and clear vision's a great term. So that I definitely adopt that one. But I felt so defeated. Like it was like bang, bang, bang. Okay, come on. Now I gotta wait again till next week, man. I really felt defeated, not underwhelmed, just like, oh God, enough already. Just give me the ending already. It was crazy. But I had a question for you. Now, this was my first thought. When you see Wanda go into the sword facility and she just like stands over Vision, all, lovey-dovey and whatnot, and then she leaves quietly. This, I forget who pointed it out before, but this obviously makes Hayward a lying government stooge of a dick of a human being, which he was a government stooge. We knew he was going to be a jerk for sure. But let me ask you this. Now, I do graphic arts and whatnot. Hayward does not seem like a graphic artist kind of guy to change that video. So is this a government conspiracy, or did Hayward change it, say, with magic? I'm just thinking, like, or I hadn't even considered Kang, man. That would be a dope cameo if I don't know the actor's name, the gentleman from Lovecraft Country shows up like real quick.
That would be dope. But all right, so to me, this is Hayward's plan was he was hoping Wanda would take it and exude enough chaos magic for them to revive Vision.
Yeah, he was trying to like goad her, like let me see what she could do.
That was his plan. So when Wanda went there, because remember, she did exude a little chaos magic to see if she could still feel him. When she couldn't, she kind of just went, you know what? I'm going to just go. And I think in that moment, he was just like, damn. So then that's when I think he was just like, all right, I kind of like everybody here. I'm going to send, Monica, do me a favor. Go out there and die. I mean, go out there and investigate and see what you can bring back. And then I think he wasn't expecting what happened. And when he saw that, he was just like, yes. So I think what threw him off in his plan was it seemed like Vision was still alive there. So I think he's looking at it and he's just like, wait a minute, hold on. Is this Vision real? So I think once she threw the missile out that was exuding chaos magic, he was able to use that to kind of transmutate into clear vision. Thank you, Ryan. And that's what we got. So that was the plan, I think.
What this episode really, I think, explained was like Wanda did do this, like she did create Westview and everything. Like that's put to rest. We know now that that's the case. It's just Agatha and whomever else decided to take advantage of that. They saw it as an opportunity. So it's no longer, the case when like Jimmy Woo is going, hey, Wanda, who's doing this to you? It's like Wanda did do this to herself. It's just everyone else who has nefarious sort of intentions is taking advantage of it.
Right. Yeah. So to answer your question, it very much was his plan for everything. Because remember, he was watching Wanda when she stormed in, and he was kind of just like, "Did she leave yet? No. All right, send her back." Like one of those things where it's just like, All right, fine. Let her through.
I got two other points that I want to make. One, based on the conversation today, I think I have a solution to the Magneto thing. What if she didn't know who Magneto was, but then when she finds out he's a mutant and possibly a mutant terrorist, she's like, I can't do this. I can't be with you. She leaves him, but he's always kind of like watching out for his kids and seeing what's up. So it makes him the father figure, but it also answers why he's not involved.
I mean, to me, it's one of those things where it's just like,
just having fun with the conversation.
I mean, no, I'm saying I can go either way. I honestly could. If they do it in the right way and connect those dots, I'll take it. Mm-hmm. But if we never get them as father and
then it's fine. I just need one other thing out of all of this whole season, and that's like Baron Mordo just being like the Kermit meme. Like, I told you there was too many sorcerers, but
I would love that. I really would love that. He was,
but that's really none of my business.
Yeah, try to tell you.
He is sitting somewhere in his hut, just like, I told you I didn't.
Motivation for Doctor Strange too.
Want me to take our magic too?
Yeah,
right.
When he pops up, the first thing he's gonna say to Steven is like, "Right, you see? See that? Okay, all right." Like, okay, you go ahead and deal with it. But no, I'm now picturing him
just like a bunch of like second graders. I told you so.
I can't get Baron Mordo sipping tea out of my head now. Like him with his legs crossed. Go ahead, Pete. I'm sorry.
That was it. I thought of it like with all this magic going on and different color codes, and I admit I don't know too much about magic, and I learned so much more just from looking shit up for this show. Well, between Wanda pulling off of the multiverse, Doctor Strange borrowing magic, these are things I had no idea about before.
Right. And yeah.
I'm just having fun with it at this point. And when I thought about it, I was like, there's a lot of magic and I was like, too many sorcerers. Dude was right all along.
All along. I will say though, they did enhance Agatha a little bit for the purpose of this show. She was not this strong in the comics. Not even a little bit. So they obviously were exaggerating a little bit for the purpose of the story.
I'm okay with it.
Do you guys remember? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, do you guys remember what Scarlet Witch looked like at the end of Age of Ultron? Is that like similar to what Hash looked in the comic? You remember like at the end he was doing like a roll call kinda? And he about to say Avengers symbol?
Yes.
You remember how she looked?
He was just missing the crown.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that's essentially yes.
Okay.
Martin, I saved the best for last. I saved my favorite Easter egg for you. Here's my favorite Easter egg that probably no one else noticed. Dom. My Easter egg for you is, did you notice the Stanley Easter egg in this episode?
You got to be kidding me. Let me think about that. No.
The Stanley Easter egg was Wanda's license plate said Excelsior at the bottom of it.
Oh, I saw. I didn't even think about. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. A lot of people were just like, I don't. Because like a lot of people forget that's his call sign, like Excelsior. So I saw that and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and see if Dom says it first. See if Dom got me on that one. But Martin, walk me through your thoughts on this episode.
Well, you guys have pretty much covered most of this. Again, it's one of the advantages of going toward the end. I like that this was the first one, you didn't have your little sitcom beginning to the show. They just jumped right in. You didn't have a commercial this time, which was fine. Haywood, like I said, that whole thing with Hayward just ticked me off. And of course, I'm sitting there thinking, he said, okay, you don't think we're going to be burying all this money worth of money? I said, dude, that's not even yours. I said, start creating him. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. What are you, finders keepers? Is that what you're thinking here? So I'm not sure why he thought that was his. And of course, then as we already discussed, he totally lied about her taking him, which, like I said, we already talked about Elizabeth Olsen's acting. She was fabulous. Of course, I was talking about, these Marvel shows, they should get their acting recognized more. That was always the case with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They had great performances on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and nobody ever gave them anything. So I'm not sure exactly what the deal with that is. But also, I like that right before Vision did his little talk with Wanda, it almost looked like he was like accessing information almost like he was going through his entire encyclopedia of Shakespeare or something, trying to think of something that would be meaningful to say to her. Because he was sitting there just kind of thinking, and then he came out, and of course he said the perfect thing, as he usually does. Right. I also like the fact that when he was watching the show with her, he started laughing. He looked at her like, okay, that was funny, right? So, yeah, that was funny. That was good. Yeah. You laughed at the right time. But I want to challenge to you, Juan, since you keep saying that if Mephisto doesn't show up, you're not going to be here. I want you to come anyway and explain the reasons why that's disappointing to you, because you made it very clear earlier today when we talked. You had a good reason of why, you would be disappointed if it didn't happen. So I think that you should go ahead and next week, if it doesn't work out the way you thought it should, you come on and go ahead and explain, just explain why it is you think from point to point how it led that way, and you're disappointed that it didn't. I mean, because to me, it's a very logical explanation. And of course, as we've said, they've been walking a really tight line anyway. Marvel always does, between comic fans and people who've never seen any of it, of trying to satisfy both. Of course, it's probably a little easier to satisfy the folks who have not read all the comics and have all the background than it is for the people who have, like yourself, who have what comics they're drawing these from, and have a certain expectation, and they're not necessarily meeting them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love to do that. It all depends on how hard this episode hits me, like how hard it hurts me. That's to me what I'd have to look for. And to me, I always say this. I'm saying this with Flashpoint. I'm saying this with how DC's approaching everything. Explanation means everything to me. You could sell me anything if you can explain it well enough for me to buy it. And me through 8 episodes, nothing else they've sold me leads me to anything else but what I've been thinking. So they'd have to do a lot of convincing for me to kind of go, all right, I can understand why you didn't use them, because I mean, even think about this. They did Ragnarok, right? They didn't do Ragnarok accurately, but they did the most important thing of Ragnarok, well, the 2 most important things, Surtur and the destruction of Asgard. So I'm like, you don't shy away from what makes these comics special. You embrace it. You just find a way to kind of make everything else around it different. So to me, it's just like everything around this is different, but there should be that one thing that remains the same, which is, in my mind, Mephisto. So like I said, it's all in the explanation. Because I did leave Thor Ragnarok just like, really? This? Like, this is how we do? Hera?
You didn't like it?
Like, I didn't like changing Hera from what she was in the
Hela?
Hela, sorry.
Hela.
I didn't like her dying. Like, it was just a lot of it that was just.
Who said that she died?
Yeah, there's no evidence that she died.
There's no. She's strong as hell. We don't know.
Well, you gotta
also pop back up.
You gotta also remember Asgard is what gave her all that strength. So now that Asgard's gone, she could have maybe died out or withered out.
We don't know. Marvel.
She's dead. You're right. I don't know.
Marvel brings back people all the time. Loki, case in point. There's numerous times that they bring him back. I'm not complaining as the #1 Loki stan here. I'm not complaining, but they bring him back all the time with virtually no explanation, and I'm okay with it. So if they brought back Hela without explanation, I'm okay with it.
By the way, I do want to bring this up, Ryan. I'm going to go to you to end this out for the night. But I do want to say this. There's a lot of hypocrites in Marvel, like as Marvel fans, because you had a lot of people that were like, no, you can't bring Stark back. How he died was so poetic and perfect. And then you're like, well, they're making like a Loki series. And I'm like, no, that wasn't poetic. I'm
wait. No.
Loki has magic. This is different.
What's more poetic?
Wait. I have something for that. It's a trend with Loki that he's the trickster god, that he doesn't, that he can pretty much make you think that he's dying. He's not really dying. He's just making you think it's an illusion. Hang on. But with with Tony and say like Yondu, like I loved Yondu, but I totally respect James Gunn's decision when he says that bringing him back would just completely undo what that meant. And I feel the same way with Tony Stark, because that's not their trend to just die and come back. Like, this is the one-time thing, so it's meaningful. They're mortal people, whereas say someone like Loki, who's a sorcerer, has the ability to make it a illusion that he's dying or dead, but when he really isn't. But with Tony and say like Yondu, that's really dead. And so that's the difference between that and Loki. So it's not hypocritical. There's a perfectly good explanation.
But I would accept that if it wasn't really Loki dying by Thanos' hand, but he did die. Like that.
Yeah, I know, and we did see him die. But the Loki that we're having in the show is not the same Loki that died in Infinity War.
Why can't I bring Stark back? Why can't I bring back a different Stark?
You don't know if they could have where there's a movie in the future and, you know, maybe they revisit the past and Robert Downey Jr. pops back up and all that.
Give me Stark back, baby. That's all I'm saying. Don't give me a world with Mandarin and no Stark.
Give me Cap back. I want Cap
Who back?
Cap. I want Cap back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's not dead. I'll get down that wormhole another episode on why I think it's very easy to bring Cap back.
But Trey, are you sad, by the way, seeing the images for Falcon and Winter Soldier where it looks like they're at a funeral? I'm like, don't tell me that you're killing Steve Rogers. I can't. Flipping the desk.
That's exactly what I think is going to be a funeral for him at the beginning. I'm like, oh.
I don't want it. It's going to be the same thing like in Civil War when they killed Peggy. It's like, no, don't do it.
No, it'll be another sad thing of another funeral and Natasha's not had one. But anyway, right.
I
know. Go ahead.
The injustice. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's all good. So actually, kind of a two-parter. So the first thing I want to say is, you're talking about explanations. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more explored with that witch's coven. I mean, that was a great scene. I just really wanted a little bit of backstory, like her and her mother. They glossed on it, and it made enough sense for that moment. But man, if they had explored that would have hit home even more. So I wanted to throw that in there. I don't know if any of you guys were thinking that. And then a little Easter egg that I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy John Stratman, who's been on our show. He pointed this out to me, and I can't believe I missed it. Westview, what's in the middle of that? TV.
Oh.
I didn't catch that. And then he actually rewatching it. There's a Westview Televisions thing when they're doing. It was like the middle of the episode, and it goes to black and white as I think as she's making the town back to black and white for the first time. But yeah, it shows Westview Television, and they actually emphasize the TV in the middle of it. So on rewatch, I caught that, but I thought that was one to throw in.
Nothing's a coincidence in this show.
Nothing at all. Guys, I want to thank you for another episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We broke down every inch of this show. There's nothing left for us to break down. We've broken down every ounce of it. Next week is the finale. It'll be tough.
Jawan, you have just like Marty said, you have to be here if we don't get Mephisto. You still have to be here rallying the troops and everything.
No promises.
What are we gonna do without you?
No, I will be like, you remember that scene in Thor: The Dark World where Thor's like,
no, I shut that movie off.
He's just in his cell, like super depressed. That's gonna be me in my room. Yes, like I said, next week is the series finale of WandaVision. Then we got a little.
We don't know that.
We're not getting a second season.
We don't know that.
Kevin Feige said that. He said that in the interview he just did. It's a series finale. You can't do a second season of what?
Why can't you?
I don't know.
Why would there be a second season? There's already continuation with Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness. Why is there a second season?
You're gonna have 3 seasons in the course of 2 years. Spider-Man is the second season, and then Doctor Strange 2 is your 3rd season, and that's it. But to me, you don't bring WandaVision back. The whole premise was to set up what's to come. That you don't need to revisit it. It's redundant at that point.
You're right. The next show is Scarlet Witch. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. It's just Wanda. Just Wanda.
Anyway.
Oh man, you can call it a witch called Wanda.
So Young Avengers. Young Avengers is the next show. How about that?
All right. All right.
Babe, but I love a witch called Wanda.
I won't be able to break down that show. I don't need
Juwan.
So there'll be a little break before Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, bear with us. We'll be back to break down everything about Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who came here tonight. Tia, make sure you guys are following Tia. She just had an Americans God Palooza interview with almost everybody part of that show. Make sure you guys check that out. Amazing interviews. And stay tuned for all new American Gods tomorrow.
I did also want to point out, on top of speaking with the freaking wonderful Yetedi Badaki, Ricky Whittle, Eric Johnson, Ashley Reyes, and hopefully next week Bruce Langley, I also got to speak with Jesse Cove from Cobra Kai, the son of Martin Cove, playing probably one of the best bad guys on TV ever. And he was awesome. So please make sure you check that out as well.
Absolutely. The Geek Vibes podcast page, which you guys are watching this live on now, you can check out all those interviews there. We have a lot of really good March interviews coming that I can't wait for you guys to hear and see. So stay tuned for that. Next up, Patrick, it's just you. But,
just me.
KJ
just
went
me.
to bed.
KJ's had a rough go of it tonight. Yeah.
We did have numerous new episodes from both you guys this week. I was on Kind of Nerdy Dudes for a very special DC episode. Cover your ears, Dan.
Don't worry, Dan. I'm on your side. I basically ripped them to shreds, so I got you.
I can't wait to listen.
It was a lot of fun. So I want to give a huge shout out to you and a thank you to you.
Oh, absolutely! It's our pleasure always to have you on. The episode is dropped. It is out there now for download. So thank you as always for joining us, Tia. We got to have you on as well because we got to just especially on the Kind of Nerdy Girls. I'm on the show with KJ every once in a while. To be the just the one male that just kind of takes all the heat. So that's fine. But yeah. So again, this is always awesome every single week. Thank you very much. And you can visit all our platforms at kindanerdynetwork.com.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys follow them there. Dan, we did have an all new episode of They Called This a Movie.
Yes. I had to check the iTunes because I didn't know what it was, but it was Broken Arrow. We film everything a week in advance, so I know we have Evolution coming out this week from 2000.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me on. I'm glad to be a part of this. It's going to be very sad when we, have to wait a little while and this ends. But you guys are so knowledgeable about all of this. It really just brings up more questions than answers anything. But just being a part of everyone who knows what they're talking about and filling me in on stuff too. It's just like it's amazing. I can't even think of the word. So you guys rock.
We love you, Dan, and we appreciate that, man. Make sure you guys are following the main Damies, and They Called This a Movie. Great movies. This is the one movie, Dan, that I can say I haven't seen, so I can't tell you that I love it.
Evolution or Broken Arrow?
Broken Arrow.
Oh,
he'll watch it and then somehow love it.
Howie Long's finest acting ever. That's all I'm saying.
I like Howie.
It's great.
All right, so now I'm gonna go watch that and tell you how much I love it, Dan.
Can't wait.
Dan's been trying to find the one movie that they break down that I don't love, and I don't think that day will ever come. I like a lot of the movies that they.
I don't understand it, but I wish I had your outlook on life. It's a good way to live.
Man, I think what really set Dan off is when he did Twilight, and I was just like, I didn't hate that, and he was just like, all right.
But I had no idea about that. I was like, we've been friends for how many years, and now I'm finding out that you liked Twilight.
Yeah, I didn't
Twilight.
All right, wait, see, that's how false narratives get set. I didn't say that I necessarily liked it. I just didn't.
You liked it.
I liked it.
There's no gray area with Twilight. You either love it or you hate it.
You either have to be part of that coven or you have to hate it. You have to want to burn it at the stake. I get it. Dom Diggity. Dom has a whole bunch of reviews that he's been putting out. Dom has a very special review coming for a certain animated show on Amazon Prime coming out. So stay tuned for that.
Right.
I'll just say, can't say nothing, but I took a little peek, and I can't wait for that breakdown from Dom. But Dom, let us know about your latest review.
So I just had one come out yesterday for Cherry, the new Tom Holland movie that's gonna be on Apple Plus. Just read it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And,
Wait,
Oh
hold
wow.
on, Dom. I'm laughing because I'm picturing
Wow.
under IMDb or like what's the other one? Rotten Tomatoes. Like it just says Dom Geek Vibes Nation, and all you have there is just read. Like
it's
about to break
different.
that. Just read.
But I have in the chamber in the next like 2 days, the Billie Eilish movie, The Independence, Boogie, The Courier, and like one other. And I also reached out to one of the extras from Cherry. He's actually like has like 1 million followers on TikTok. His name is Stefan Johnson, and he does voiceover work as well. And I saw him in it, and I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, "Hey man, was that you?" And he was like, "Yeah. How'd you see the movie?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. But you want to do an interview?" And he was like, "Hell yeah."
You're gonna have to fake that till you make it, Dom.
100%.
So he said, but the good thing about why I want to interview him is that he, first, he's a cool dude, but he said that the line that he got in the movie, the Russo brothers just picked him out and were like, "Hey, we want you to say this line." He didn't have any lines at first, and then on the spot they gave him the line. He said it, and it made it to the movie. So pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's how Jason Statham became an actor. Something is just weird as that. Make sure you guys stay up to date with Dom on his amazing reviews. And like you said, just read the Cherry review. Don't ask.
I did. It was very good, Dom. Your review.
But next up, Trayvon Nerd with the Tech has got his YouTube page going. Has got some trailer breakdowns and reviews and stuff going. You just did Superman and Lois.
Yes.
I truly enjoyed that pilot episode. I loved it with every being of me. So just give us a little bit about your page, Trayvon.
Yeah, I'm just getting into it. It's kind of late on the WandaVision, but I did do this last episode, so I'm gonna keep doing that. And of course, do Falcon Winter Soldier when that comes. I'm excited for this season to be over because I'm gonna do like a whole rewatch of the whole thing, and do like a recap and like break down the whole thing. That might be how I start my podcast. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, I'm really excited to do that and just keep it up. And I'm really trying to figure out if I can do a 4-hour editing of of the Zack Snyder Justice League and do that. I'm not sure. Ooh, that's a lot of editing, a lot of editing. But because I know I can't upload 4 hours of content. But we'll figure it out. But yeah, so that's fun. I'm having fun doing it and learning more editing as I go along. So this is cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Next up, Prime from the Sports Bar Podcast. Tell us why you think Russell Wilson's going to end up as a cowboy.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I definitely would not mind. Let's just say that. But yeah, we've got, of course, a lot of NBA right now. Of course, a lot of quarterback talk, and not just with Russell Wilson. You got Dak Prescott situation. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And in the meantime, though, we're also continuing our Run It Back series where we do movies as well, as you know. As I mentioned last week, a couple of weeks ago, we did White Man Can't Jump. That's up over on the Facebook page. Tomorrow, we will be doing, in anticipation of the new Eddie Murphy movie coming out, we are revisiting Coming to America tomorrow over on the Facebook page. And of course, we usually do like old movies, but in a couple of weeks, we'll go back and look at the second movie that's coming out next week. All of that's over on the Facebook page for now. Everything will be over on the new YouTube channel, which we just got set up. So nothing's really uploaded yet by the end of this coming week. But looking to have a lot of fun with sports and, of course, Run It Back.
Absolutely. Go Knicks. Make sure you guys check out everything going on over there. Martin, what's the latest review you got? Because I love that Scott Snyder one that you dropped on us.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, his comic drops March 2nd, so I've got a review of that. I actually got one to have my first video review of that comic, as well as the Kickstarter book they put out in advance of it, which I just got my copy, and it's really, really nice. Monday, I've got an interview with Scott, with, oh crap, messed up his name now. This is what happens when you get old, folks. Don't let it happen to you. Fred Berman, who does basically he does audiobook. He's an actor, but he also does audiobook read-ons, and he's excellent. He's won awards for doing it, and we're going to be talking to him about some of the books he's done. He did the narration for Robin Williams' book. He's done for a whole bunch of different books. And we'll be talking to him about his career and just some of the books he's done. So look for that to be coming out. And there's always a whole bunch of other comic reviews that'll be coming out this week.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. And Martin, Scott Snyder signed that book for you, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Nice.
That's something good to have up in the tuck. Ryan, the Nerd Rage podcast, man. Let us know when we can find that next episode.
Honestly, tomorrow is probably going to be a new episode. I just got so many in the tank right now. As soon as we're done with this, I'm going to be editing a whole bunch of content. I did want to throw this out here. I don't know how many people are, I'm not watching the YouTube feed right now, but if anyone out there wants to do reviews for us, I've got enough connections to different things that I just haven't got around to, like stuff with CW or stuff with Marvel. Like, I would love to have someone do some writing for us. So if anyone out there is interested, we're willing to pay. We appreciate it.
Hey, hold on a second.
hey! Don't go poaching my people, Ryan.
I didn't say these guys.
So, Ryan, check your email after this.
I'm gonna DM you.
I'm not loaded, but it's out.
I'll send you a cookie in the mail. There's
always good for me. But yeah, at the Nerd Rage Pod on Twitter, at Ryan's_ramblings for my content directly. Facebook and Instagram are going to be getting more stuff over the month of March, which will be during my birthday. So March is going to be a special month. That's all I can say.
For sure. Make sure you guys are following the Nerd Rage podcast. Thank you, Ryan. I'm going to edit that part out, Martin, where you got a little too excited. Last but definitely not least, my brother Pete from Pete's Basement. Before you tell us where we can find all the content for Pete's Basement, make sure you guys are also staying tuned for Figure It Out, the show where we break down whatever we want to talk about, but it usually starts with our love for collectibles. I do that show with Pete, JD, Joel has joined the family, and Tia was on the last episode that we did. So make sure you guys check that out. It's here on the Geek Vibes podcast page. So make sure you guys check out, I think there's 3 episodes we've done so far. Make sure you check out all 3 of those. But Pete, where can we find you? I don't know why that was a tongue twister.
It's Saturday night. It's late. It's fine. Don't worry about it. At Pete's Basement, pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.com/etc. I have a lot of ideas for new videos. I haven't gotten around to it yet since we did the review, but doing this is getting me back into the swing of things, which I'm enjoying. But yeah, man, that editing's a bitch. It really is. It just takes up so much of your time. It's just like, oh God, not again. I'm getting back into it, man. So I'm enjoying this. And as always, thanks for having me. Salud.
Absolutely. And guys, stay tuned. Our good friend Dakota, who does our intro video, if you guys follow us on Twitter, you guys see the new look for Geek Vibes Nation. So stay tuned for all the really dope stuff we have coming with that. We have a huge announcement we're going to be making within the next week and a half, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, we thank you for supporting us. Make sure you're following everyone here, showing love, supporting however you can. And we will see you guys next week. I may or may not be here, but the rest of them will.
You better be here. Come on.
If I am here, I will be here with an attitude. It'll be under protest. Make sure you guys are here.
With Zoom code from someone.
Yeah, well, make sure you guys, we're going to treat this like a Dragon Ball Z episode. So make sure you guys stay tuned to next week where Juwan may or may not transform into a Super Saiyan.
That would be amazing.
For you guys this week. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Till then,